We will call the Capitola. We're not used to having this many people. We're glad you're all here. This is the public process at its best. We will call the Capitola City Council meeting for Tuesday, November 22nd to order. Can we begin with a roll call?
Councilmember Norton. Here. Councilmember Harlan.
Here.
Councilmember Tran.
Here.
Councilmember Termini.
Here.
Mayor Bottorff.
Here. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was the best pledge we've had all year. Thank you for those voices. Wow. Okay, we are excited in the city of Capitola. We're excited that you're all in this room, but we are really excited because Capitola has a new police chief, and we'd like to have that presentation now.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, as I announced at the last council meeting, we've named a new police chief here in Capitola. Terrence McManus is joining us from the San Diego Police Department, where he's worked for the last 30 years. Terry has spent, during his 30-year career with San Diego Police Department, he's held a variety of assignments, but most recently he's been the assistant chief and overseen the centralized investigations unit within that department, which includes homicide, robbery, gangs, financial crimes, narcotics, and child abuse, vice, domestic violence, to name a few. Terry is a native of Northern California. He grew up in a police family up in Vallejo. He's got a bachelor's degree from the University of San Francisco, where he also played college baseball. He also has attended the FBI National Academy. Terry has a real passion for community policing. He really impressed our various interview panels and myself during the interviewing process, and clearly rose to the top of a very talented field of individuals who came in to replace Chief Escalante. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief McManus and welcome him to Capitola.
Thank you very much for the wonderful applause, and City Manager Goldstein, thank you very much for that very complimentary introduction. Mr. Mayor, Council, City staff, and as important, maybe most important, all the guests for this evening. It's always wonderful at a council venue to see this many people participating, and so I look forward to listening this evening to everything that's going on. I am sincerely honored to be here in front of you today as your Chief of Police for the City of Capitola. I'm honored and I'm humbled. It's been, as mentioned, I've been in San Diego for 30 years with the San Diego Police Department, and I would be remiss if I didn't just touch real briefly on my great joy every single day working as a law enforcement officer in general and a law enforcement officer in San Diego. My career has been rewarding there. Each and every day. This is my new chapter. It has been a goal of mine from the time that I was a young man growing up, as mentioned, in a law enforcement family in Vallejo, California, on the far northern side of the Bay Area. And I very much look forward to representing the City of Capitola as your Chief of Police. I'm committed and excited to continue the wonderful relationship that the city and the police department have with the citizens in the community in Capitola. And I'll be real sincere in saying to everybody that I recognized that immediately when I did some early research into the city of Capitola, the history of Capitola, and quite honestly, a very, very impressive and well-established and recognized system of engagement that everybody has with the entire community in Capitola. And so my commitment is to continue that. My commitment is to improve upon that. And my commitment to everybody is to reward you, continue to reward the citizens, the community, council, all city staff with the most wonderful police officers in this state and beyond. And I look forward to this new chapter in my life. A little bit about me, you touched on a lot of it. I was born and raised in Vallejo, California, went to school at the University of San Francisco, At that point is when I made my decision to enter into a law enforcement profession of my own. Chose to go down to San Diego with one thing in mind, quite honestly, to take advantage of some wonderful training that was going on back in the mid-'80s in law enforcement that was unique in California law enforcement and happening in San Diego, with a plan to come back to the Bay Area after about 5 years or taking advantage of some training down south. And so I stand here tonight to tell you that I'm just about 25 years late in getting back to Northern California and to being real close with my family. Many of them live over the hill in the San Jose area and in the Napa area. I have 3 adult sons, 25, all boys, 25, 23, and 20. 2 of them, my oldest and my youngest, will remain in San Diego. My middle son lives in Tahoe, so I'm looking forward to spending a good amount of time with him. And I'm looking forward to a very rewarding relationship with everybody in the city of Capitola. I'm so honored to be here. I'm so excited to start my new career here in Capitola. And thank you very much for inviting me tonight and for the wonderful introduction to all the people here in the council chambers. Thank you very much. I'd be pleased to answer questions if there are any.
A couple comments, probably. Probably not going to have any questions for a couple comments.
Okay. You're right about our police department, and you're definitely right about our community. This is one involved community, and they look forward to you, for sure. And something we have in common, I'm also a Don.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I went to USDEF, just like you, St. Ignatius, then USF, and definitely for the Jesuit School of Education. So,
Thank you for sharing that. It's a wonderful school.
Good. Stephanie? Dennis?
Welcome aboard, Chief. One of your first tasks will be to help us resolve our junior guard problem that we're facing.
So we're going to go now, so it's all yours. Okay.
Chief Escalante touched on that just a bit. And might I add one more final comment, if I can? I just want to recognize Chief Escalante. Having never met him until about a month ago, I want to recognize him for all of his service in the law enforcement community in general, and certainly in the Santa Cruz County area. And I wish Chief Escalante, who is back here in the corner, I wish him all the great luck in retirement.
Yeah.
You've been very giving of your time to me, and I certainly appreciate that, Rudy.
Just one final comment, Chief. I'm glad that the chief that we hired here had a passion to be a police chief. So that is the thing that makes me feel the best about you being here. And I do realize now that the common thread for a successful police chief is college baseball. So I'm glad we got that clear now, too. So we look forward to working with you, and thank you for coming in and introducing yourself tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, we're all invigorated. Let's move. We have a report on closed session.
The council did reach a consensus in their discussions this evening, and those discussion points and terms will be brought back for the next meeting where council will ratify that action, and that's when the terms will be discussed.
Thank you very much. And Sue, do we have any additional materials received tonight?
Yes, we did receive one item for 9A regarding the junior guard program. You each have a copy, and there's a few copies in the back as well.
Okay. Mr. City Manager, any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Staff has no changes.
Okay, that brings us to the public comment period. This is the portion of the meeting where the public can come and address the City Council on any item that is not on the agenda. So if you're here for an agenda item, you'll have to wait, but if there's something else that's on your mind you'd like to talk to us about, please come forward. Okay, I think we're all here for one reason. Okay, so we're going to close the public comment period. We're going to move to City Council comments. Stephanie.
Just thanks, everybody, for your patience during all this construction that we're going through. Monterey and Park and the Village and so forth, and it's going to continue throughout the county. So we just have to leave a little bit earlier, and the roads are going to be much, much improved. We're really thrilled about that, but thanks, everybody, for your patience. It's tough to get through these intersections when there's long lines of cars going through, but the town will look so much better afterwards.
Thanks, Stephanie. Dennis? Good. John? Michael?
12 noon this Saturday. We all know what that is, right? Surfing Santa, rain or shine. every year. Come on down, talk to Santa. Big people, little people, talks to everybody. Thank you.
I just have one real quick announcement. I'll be remiss if I don't say something about this. I've sat for the last 8 months on the select committee selected by Congressman Eshoo, Farr, and Jackie Spear to resolve the jet noise over Capitola, which most of you are probably keenly aware of. That committee met on the 17th, and that was the final meeting where we took a vote on how we were going to resolve that issue. And even though it was not a unanimous decision, the decision that was made was to challenge the FAA with some strict criteria to move the path back to somewhere close to where it used to be over the city of Santa Cruz, but to try to use different elevations, airplane procedures, and some other criteria that we suggested to make it not as noisy a route. And that vote, although not unanimous, it was an 8-4 vote. We had agreed in the beginning of that committee meeting that 8 votes would be enough to move forward. So that recommendation is being made to the congressmen and women. Our hope is that the FAA will have that change enacted by this summer. So if you know someone that lives over the existing flight path, it should be changed by then. Yeah, that was a big deal. Thank you. Staff comments, Mr. City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I think as Councilmember Harlan pointed out, a number of construction projects are underway, and we really appreciate everyone's patience as we get through them. We do anticipate hopefully paving, finishing up some of our paving tomorrow, if we don't get too much rain tonight. That would be on Park Avenue. The pavement is down on Monterey and Kennedy at this point and looking really good. So just wanted to announce that. Tennis courts are open for play as well with a wonderful new surface.
I think that's fabulous. I just want to take my hat off to the Public Works Director for overseeing all those projects and getting that new asphalt down. Thank you very much, Steve. Okay, that takes us to consent calendar. These are items that we usually approve all in one motion. Is there any item on the consent calendar that council would like to pull?
Move the consent.
Second.
Second. Is there anyone from the public that would like to pull an item on the consent calendar? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? The consent calendar carries unanimously. Takes us to the general government public hearings, and the main reason we're here. Item A is to receive a report regarding the Junior Guard program. Mr. City Manager.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I will be discussing this. Thank you for having me. And I'm sure you're aware of some of the issues with the Junior Guard program. I'd like to kind of go over how we got there and what we're looking at. First of all, the Capitola Junior Guard program was started in 1980. It's been run out of our recreation department for almost all of those years. In 2016, we had 1,100 participants in the program. In addition, until 2012, the City of Capitola Police Department also ran a beach lifeguard service. But the key thing to remember on this is that even though the city ran both the junior guards and the lifeguard service, there was no integration between those two. They're basically separate entities, and none of the training or coordination was done through both of those. So the recreation department handled the junior guards, and the police department with staff handled the beach lifeguard services, the towers, basically. In 2012, the city contracted with Santa Cruz Fire and Marine Safety for beach lifeguard services to operate the towers. Some of the reasons that the city did it in 2012 and are valid today, but the advanced USLA certification and training. USLA is the United States Lifeguard Association. They govern lifeguard and chapters as well as certification process. Some of the other issues were additional resources, more advanced equipment. There was going to be a budget savings, and one of the big savings is that we would have a CSO who ran the program during the summer on the streets when the police department during the summer when they needed the CSO. So that became a benefit as well. In addition, the Santa Cruz Marine Safety Division had the ability to offer those beach lifeguards more of a career path. Here, the lifeguard was the final Santa Cruz Marine Safety is part of the fire department in Santa Cruz, and so there is more opportunity. And in addition, there was a reduction in risk to the city by having a department that is exactly what they did, is they offered lifeguard services, and that is the benefit, is that that's what they did. So they knew how to do it in bringing it over to our beach. In order to meet California Life Saving Association requirements, the city began working with Santa Cruz in 2013 to assist the Recreation Department with its junior guard instructor training. After the 2016 season, this past summer, Santa Cruz Fire indicated they could no longer provide training as they had. The CSLA, the California Life Saving Association, notified the city that because the training of our junior lifeguard instructors was not being conducted by a recognized lifeguard chapter, the junior guards would no longer be able to participate in regional and national competitions. That's the basis for the participants have to be from a program that is from a chartered agency. The city, during this time, has continued its discussions with the city of Santa Cruz, and we appreciate that for continuing on. Staff, we've identified 3 potential options for the junior guard program. First of all, a recreation program, which for most people would be no regional competition. The second option would be a Capitola Beach lifeguard program. We would reinstate the Capitola Beach lifeguard program and integrate it with the junior guards. The third option, which came through some conversations with folks at the CSLA, LSA, is a hybrid where the city would share beach responsibility, primary beach responsibility, with Santa Cruz Marine Safety Division for times when Santa Cruz is not available, or not specifically in the morning times when the junior lifeguards are on the beach and there is no one on the towers. So here's kind of the options for these programs. The recreation program the idea we would continue to contract with Santa Cruz for beach lifeguards. The junior guard instructors would be trained by Capitola Recreation to USLA standards, including a swim qualification using the USLA Open Water Life-Saving Guide, include first aid, CPR, Title 22 training. They would be trained in the same manner as they have been. They just would not be trained by Santa Cruz Marine Safety. One of the problems with this is that the program could not compete in regionals. As far as I understand it, right now, City of Santa Cruz is the only other local junior guard program that has people going to regionals. That's not an option in state. So last year there were 85 Capitola junior guards who participated in regionals. Some went to nationals, and even some went to internationals as well. We definitely would continue to work with Santa Cruz and the state lifeguards to continue our participation in the local events, both our junior guard program going to their beaches and their junior guard program coming to our beach. The second option we're talking about is reinstating of the entire beach lifeguard program. We'd reinstate the beach lifeguard service. We would work on obtaining a CLSA chapter and certification. The key thing is what we didn't have in the past. We would integrate the beach lifeguard service and the junior lifeguard program, including training, which is the key thing, is that the junior lifeguard program, in order to be part of an existing chapter, the training has to be conducted or at least administered by the actual beach lifeguard service. The concern is that it would be very difficult to implement this for 2016. So we'd most likely need to contract with Santa Cruz through the end of this year. It's quite a bit of change, and most folks at the USLA and CSLSA did not think we could do this by this season. The third option that's come up through conversations with both the CLSA and Santa Cruz Marine Safety is a hybrid approach, where we would share responsibility for beach lifeguards. Capitola would staff, at this time, the idea would be a single tower near the junior guards from 9 in the morning to 11 in the morning, when junior guard program is on the beach and the Santa Cruz Marine Safety is not there. This would be consistent with the existing contract because Santa Cruz provides beach lifeguard service other times, from basically 11 to 5 between Memorial Day and Labor Day. We would also, in this case, obtain a CLSA chapter and certification for this beach lifeguard program. It would be a life-saving program. It would be because of full responsibility for the beach during those hours. We would have to go through the process to become a chapter. We would modify our junior lifeguard instructor job descriptions to include beach lifeguard responsibilities, because at that point, they would be trained as beach lifeguards, and they would have the opportunity, depending on time and all that, to staff the tower. We would be establishing a training program with Santa Cruz to ensure that all of these requirements are met. The big difficulty is this is not the standard USLA and CLSA method, so we would have to make sure that they would have to review it and approve this approach. This is not the normal way they've done it, but we have been in discussions already, so they know the direction. If this is the direction, we know that they're aware of it. Some of the additional key recommendations we have from our research and our following up and talking with folks is we have 3 items that we think should be probably looked at for all these. One is to start the junior lifeguard program 1 week later. This would allow for consistent and uniform training for all the junior lifeguard instructors and beach lifeguards. Right now it's trying to fit into high school schedules, college schedules, these things. It's very difficult. So if we can move it back a week, which City of Santa Cruz has done, it gives us a full week to complete all the necessary training. Also, recommendation of talking with folks at the CLSA is that the program is pretty large for our beach. And so we'd recommend reducing the program size 10 to 15%. As I said, it was 1,100 this year. It had been over 1,200 the year before. So we did reduce it some, but I think there's still some size issues on our beach. The third option is to help offset some of these costs would be to increase the non-resident fee from $32 to $64. This is also, we looked at the fees at Santa Cruz. This is pretty consistent with the difference between their residents and non-residents. Fiscal impacts of the program. The recreation program, the primary cost would be reduction in the week of the 1 week reduction in the program, as well as the reduction in size. So that's about a $60,000 revenue decrease. And actually, so right across the board in all the programs, there will be a $60,000 estimated revenue decrease, which is that it also takes into account the increase in non-resident fees, which is about $15,000. The Capitola Beach Lifeguard Program, where we take it over, we anticipate the increased cost to be about $75,000 a year, including, in addition, we need to purchase equipment for the program because we don't have a lot of it, and that would run about $25,000 looking at what some other programs have done. So we believe the total cost to be about $135,000 a year, plus about $25,000 in equipment. Whether or not that's an ongoing equipment cost, we'd have to find out, but at least to start up. The hybrid approach, which we have our third option, we see as about a $30,000 a year cost increase in initial equipment. We still have to get some for because we have to provide some the equipment for the lifeguards when they're on the towers would be about $5,000. The key thing is this option would still require the review and approval of the CLSA. We anticipate with the reduction in time and revenue, the total cost would be about $90,000 a year and about $5,000 in equipment. So our recommendation at this point is to reduce the program size to improve oversight and management, to push back the start of the first session to make it, right now it's a 5-week session and a 4-week session. It would be 2 4-week sessions. Push back the start to allow additional training and coordination prior to the start of each year. Direct staff to pursue the hybrid option with the understanding that is subject to CSLSA approval, and in the future, other options may need to be considered. Direct staff to increase non-resident rates from $32, in addition to the base rate, $32 to $64 to offset some of the financial impacts. I'm available for questions this time.
Any questions?
Yes.
Michael, go ahead.
Perhaps I didn't read your staff report properly, but it says cost for non-city district residents from $252 to $284.
Correct. So the it's a residence fee is $220. Non-residence fee is $252 currently.
So you're increasing non-residence rate
From-
an additional 32
That's
to
correct.
64.
That's correct.
Not from 32 to 64.
You're right. I'm sorry. So that is the addition to the resident rate.
Very good.
So.
Do we charge more for session 1 because it's 5 weeks?
That's correct. So that would be part of the revenue decrease. We lose 1 week of revenue, and that's where the rate we're showing you is the 4-week session rate.
How critical is the reduction from 5 to 4 weeks?
I think what I've learned spending time this program, I think it's really important to get that coordination, to get everybody on the beach trained at the same time. It took a lot of extra time, a lot of extra effort to coordinate this group at one time, this other group at another time. If we do this, all the schools will be out of session. The folks that we hire can be up here and be dedicated to that training, as opposed to trying to come in for a weekend here, a weekend there.
Okay.
Just Santa Cruz has done it as well, and they've been very happy with the
If my
results.
math is correct, you're looking at capping the program at 1,000 participants?
That would be a little shade over, it would be right about 10%, correct.
So how do we make sure that all the residents have all the spots they need before we let non-district or city residents in?
I think we would have to, if that is the direction, then we would have to work with the registration process to do that. Right now,
There is a way that can be done.
I believe there is. I believe there is a way to do that with our current online registration. Currently, it's about a 50-50 split between residents and non-residents in this.
And have you gotten any indication from sorry, it's hard to say, CSLSA, have you gotten any indication from them how they would view our hybrid program?
The initial thought was possibly, they want to make sure that this is not a workaround to get our junior guard program in. They want to make sure that when we do this, it is a life-saving program, and that is the direction we're going to go. That they have responsibility for the beach. The folks we're going to bring in to establish it will be experienced lifeguards to run this program, and it's not just an end around. In long term, it may give the city those lifeguard instructor beach lifeguards more opportunity along the shoulder season, but we definitely are going to focus. This is a beach open water life-saving program.
So that the focus of this is not just so we can have 40 or 80 students go to regionals. You paid a lot of attention to the ultimate safety of all 1,000 children out there.
That's correct. And they would have to, and that right now, from 9 to 11, there is nobody in the towers. So we feel that there is a huge benefit to getting folks on the towers during those first 2 hours of junior guard session.
Just to make sure our priorities were
Yes.
square. Thank you.
Larry, can you go over a little bit of the reasons why we lost the certification leading up to what we just found out?
Well, I think the original certification, actually charter is the word we're looking for. The charter, when we contracted with Santa Cruz Marine Safety, we no longer had a lifeguard program, a beach lifeguard program. That is the only charter involved. It is the beach lifeguard program. The junior guards are a function of that beach lifeguard program. So that's
Train's going by. Train?
Polar Express?
Polar Express.
Polar Express.
I've heard that now.
So the charter
Sorry for that break in thought. Go ahead.
That's fine.
Wait, remember, we are still a small town of 10,000, and the train going by is a big deal. Okay, so
Sorry, my train of thought was derailed.
absolutely. Okay.
So the charter, we lost the charter at that point when we no longer had a beach lifeguard service. And what we've been trying to do is, for the last 3, 2013, 14, 15, and now 16, is work kind of under the charter of Santa Cruz. We'd been given the approval from the CSLSA to do that. It has just been apparently increasingly difficult to do based on the requirements and scheduling and all that. And I think, that's where the charter kind of went away, is when we no longer had basically 2 beach lifeguards on staff to run the.
Okay. So, what are some of the issues with management of the group that size? That we're reducing down to 1,000. We've been higher. So, what are some of the management issues that have been brought up? Is that a?
You mean why it's so big?
Well, when it was big, what kind of management issues? You alluded to management issues.
Well, it's just that many more kids on the beach. Then you're required to have a ratio of instructors to students. You have to have that many more instructors. Basically, everyone that I talked to at the CSLSA was impressed with the number of kids we have on the beach. It's bigger than most for this size, and it's with everything. It's that many more kids to manage, that many more kids to watch. It becomes more and more imperative that those instructors, we have enough of them. Obviously, we have to meet the requirements as far as instructor to student ratio. So we just have to have that many more folks on the beach, and it became very difficult to get all of those folks certified. They had to pass a swim, a run. They had to do all this, and it just became more and more difficult to get that many more folks to do that, especially with the schedules of school. We were starting basically the week school let out. So a lot of in fact, we know we lost some potential instructors because they could not fit into the training here. So it's overall that. I think about 1,000, if you go back, is where we just kind of creeped up because it's hard to say no. Everyone wants to be part of the program. So it becomes hard to say, oh, you know what, we're out of space. It became, we'll fit you in. And it just became an issue with not having enough instructors on the beach to handle that many kids.
Okay. So starting a week later, will that mean to me and everyone else in this community will be providing ample opportunity for our people to get trained?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That 1 week. It is a 40-hour, the USLA has a 40-hour open water rescue beach program. So it takes 40 hours, except if you've already done it, it's a 16-hour refresher. So that 40 hours allows that to be done during that time, which is exactly what we haven't been able to do. We've been trying to fit it in on a weekend here, a weekend there, and it's been very difficult to make sure everybody could make every weekend.
Okay, so it'll be our people on the beach. Okay, are we reaching out to, well, it's obvious from the from the attendance here, but are we reaching out to Junior Guard and the staff and the volunteers and the whole organization about the week issue, putting off the week?
I've attended some of the Parents Club meetings, and we've talked about that. It came up briefly. This has kind of been more discussed as far as with other programs about how it works, how to get this. There could be some issues with where's your child going to go during that typical week, but we just think that having all of the instructors trained to the complete level is really the goal of this.
I remember my daughter was termed out, I guess, went through the whole program, and Camp Capitola was very important. So maybe we could have rec activities to take up some of the slack for that week.
Absolutely. I've talked about it with Elise as far as options, and we think we definitely have options for the younger kids. It's going to be some of the older kids that may be more difficult, but we definitely can structure camp to accommodate those kids during that week.
Okay, so we could provide people for something that week. Okay,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Dennis.
Is the junior lifeguard program self-sufficient?
Is it self-sufficient?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
It pays for itself?
Yes, it does.
Can I see a show of hands of all the people who are junior guards or past junior guards in this room? Jeez, yeah. I kind of figured if you started in 1980, thank you. If you started in 80, you could have members in this room that are 45 years old, so they actually could have kids into a second generation. We've got one in the back right there, 1980. Thank you. A couple. Thank you. I can't underestimate how valuable this program is to our community. And so Well, Larry, you really provide us a lot of information, but not the total solution, and maybe that's something the council has to do, or the community has to do. If they want this program bad enough, we have to find a solution to it. I have fears that it may take a year to do that. I don't know that we can solve it this year. Question as to what are the repercussions of a kid that can't go to area competition? Maybe parents will address that when they come up here. I don't really have the answer. My kids went through the program, but I don't have the repercussion. Is it possible that kids that are upper level could actually go compete with Santa Cruz this year, or is it only acceptable that we compete as Capitola?
I can answer that. As far as the regionals, they can only participate in regionals from the program they came from. So we could not send Capitola guards with Santa Cruz. They would have to go through the Santa Cruz program.
What is La Selva Beach doing now? What are they doing?
Is that the state? As far as I know, state does not participate in regionals. That's correct. They do the local and the NorCals. But they do not.
So the only one that's participating as regionals would be the city of Santa Cruz right now,
as well as Capitola last year.
Yep. Okay, anxious to hear from the audience here. Okay, thank you.
Just one quick question on the rate increase. Does that, when we consider the resident fee, does that also include the provision we made a couple years ago to include the Soquel School District? Are they considered part of the local rate?
That is defined as the resident.
Okay, good. All right. That's it. All right. We're going to go ahead and open it up to the public. I just want to say one thing. We sometimes have 5 people in this room for a meeting, and we don't know what's going to strike the nerve of the citizens, and obviously this has struck a nerve and why we have a full house. So we're anxious to hear your comments. What I'd like to know is just in a raise of hands, how many people intend on getting up and speaking? It's very important because I'm going to determine how much time I'm going to allocate based on that. So keep your hands up. Everybody that wants to talk. Okay, this is important. We're going to go to 3 minutes. Okay, so if you want to line up, one woman's already up there. You're first in line. And if you can line up behind her, come up and please tell us your name and if you want to, where you live. And we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm Kim Carlton, the current president of Capitola Junior Guard Parents Club. We are here this evening to represent all the Capitola Junior Guard parents and families, past, present, and future. We would also like to thank Larry for attending our meetings and reaching out and helping to research and find some solutions for our program. We are very concerned about the recent changes to the Capitola Junior Guard program. The program has lost its chapter with CSLSA and USLA. Losing our chapter means the kids will not be safe on our beach. The kids will not be able to participate in any state or local competitions. The level of personal growth, skill acquisitions, and development will suffer. The level of program will lose most, if not all, the current participants that need a certified competitive program. The city and its businesses will lose commercial and tax revenues that are now enjoyed as hundreds of families come through the city to participate in this program. There is a larger component to this, is that the program is an ambassador to the rest of the state. When we travel to competitions, Team Tola competes as the highest level and as well as deserve the reputation of being the most competitive. We believe the program needs to be returned to full CSLSA and USLA certifications as soon as possible. There are a number of clearly defined steps that need to be accomplished in order to regain the certifications. We are here to work with the city and to ensure that the program is able to continue as a safe, certified, competitive program. The safety of our kids are being put in the hands of a recreation department, not public safety department. This program needs to be under a public safety department. We have a strong program of kids that come out every summer to be part of this beach community that they call family and compete with their peers. There were over 600 kids in Session 1 on the beach this summer. Without this certification, the program becomes a day camp on the beach. Our kids choose Capitola Junior Guards because of the respect we have earned through competitions, be it locally with their peers at regionals or nationals. The level of personal development, responsibility, and hard work gained by these kids in this program is unmatched by almost any other programs and irreplaceable. Please support the programs in regaining our chapter with CSLSA and USLA so that we may be recognized like all the other beaches in our state.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate that. Hang on, before we get started, we don't want to have too much applause because I got a feeling maybe this is a one-sided issue, but just in case, we don't want to intimidate everybody. So at the end, we'll allow for one big round of applause. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Bill Macy. I am a member of the board, and even though my kids have aged out of the program a couple of years ago, I'm still involved because I truly believe in the program. And I wanted to come just give you a bit of a local historical and impact perspective. The Capitola Junior Guard program has been a successful lifeguard training program for 37 years in the city. It was started by a small group of parents in Capitola Beach lifeguards that wanted to have a real-world lifeguard training program in Capitola. From the beginning, the goals and operation of the program has been to maintain a certified training program with all of the associated requirements and benefits. Over the years, the program has grown to be a significant part of the community. While it has had a number of management and staff changes during this time, it has always maintained its real-world approach to the training and a high level of competition and passion for the work. It has always been a highly respected, serious training program for lifeguards, and it has produced literally thousands of motivated, hardworking, responsible, respectful children and young adults. If you ask at the local schools, any of the ADs, coaches, teachers, they'll tell you that the kids from the Junior Guard program understand hard work, commitment, and respect. The program has produced many lifeguards that have gone on to become firefighters, nurses, and state lifeguards. I've frequently seen Capitola Junior Guard t-shirts on staff at local hospitals. Even those that did not gravitate towards a field in EMS or medicine take away an understanding of what is required to be successful under very challenging circumstances. You will hear from almost any Junior Guard family how much they value the skills that are taught to their children in this program. My family moved here 20 years ago. When we heard about the program, we felt we'd been saved. We moved into a home in Cliffwood Heights just minutes from Monterey Bay and had a 2- and 4-year-old that were not even water safe, much less beach safe. The program was a savior in that we knew when time came we would be able to get our kids the training and experience they would need to be safe in any aquatic environment. Nearly every parent we've met had the same original goal. We didn't really know at the time how much more training brought to our kids besides water safety. When our children started looking for jobs in high school and beyond, they would put the Junior Guard training and Captain's Corps on their resumes. It was a big differentiator for them. When they got jobs, they were able to excel because of that training. My family and hundreds of other families in our cities have counted on this program for much more than a beach babysitting service. The only way to maintain the quality and reputation of this program is to get it back to its originally intended form as soon as possible. The loss to the city of a certified Junior Guard program goes far beyond any of the tangibles we already know. Please do all you can. This is a big part of our city and needs to continue to be.
Thank you for your comments,
Thank
Bill.
you.
Do I hit the start button or does it
You just start talking and it automatically comes on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and I want to congratulate the new police chief. It looks like he has an excellent opportunity to bring a new part of his department under the public safety wing in conjunction with the new fire chief. Pretty great opportunity. Anyhow, my name is Jared. I'm a parent of 2 junior lifeguards. I'm a former junior lifeguard. I'm a former lifeguard for 10 years and currently a fire captain in Santa Clara County. I've been a member with the Parents Club for the past 3 years, and I've been doing some work with the CSLSA and the USLA. In doing so, I got to understand some of the chapter requirements and kind of how we fell out of favor with maintaining our chapter. And I think ultimately it just comes down to the fact of numbers, is that the Capitola program grew too big for Santa Cruz to provide a training facility for us, and just the logistics of it just made it too difficult. I think it's time that we should start working with that hybrid program that Larry had kind of outlined, with the hopes of kind of working into another program where we could take back the beaches and manage our own program, hopefully under the auspices with the Central Fire District and the Police Department, how it used to be ran, I think, prior to that. And I know that, just so you guys understand some of the basics, that the ratios that we're talking about right now with Little Guards, we have to have a 15 to 1 Little Guard ratio, which are, I believe that's under 9 years old. And for the older guards, it is 20 to 1. And we have about 25 to 30 lifeguard instructors we have to train every year and maintain those ratios. And it's very important that we keep those ratios and keep the instructors hired and know how many instructors we have before we have people coming into the program, and not put the cart before the horse, so to speak. I think there's some ways that we could work on cutting down the numbers of our program size, and that the first one would just be to have a swim test for all new participants, and that's a standard throughout the state with all junior lifeguard programs. It's the only junior lifeguard program I know of that does not have a swim test for new junior guards coming in. And right out of the gate, that would pare down the program without, in a fairly straight across manner. And also, too, it frees up the junior guard instructors from having to watch 2 or 3 kids that are really struggling swimmers and still keep their eyes on the overall program. So that's one way you could significantly, not significantly, but take out a little piece. It doesn't have to be an impossible swim test, just something to show that people aren't coming here to learn how to swim. Lastly, I just want to say that the program provides a lot of opportunity for kids' growth other than just competition and getting to regionals. It develops leadership skills for a lot of our kids. They get a chance to stand up in front of their peers, lead stretching exercises in the morning in front of 30 kids, and from then on they can grow up through the program, lead on relays and work together as a team, and as they get older take on the roles of instructor. And I think that's a rare opportunity for our kids, is to take a leadership role and be connected to their community. So I guess I'm out of time. It's counting up.
It's going over now. That's the over
being
limit
charged
time.
by the
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Denise White. I'm a past president of Parents Club. I am currently on the Parents Club, and I'm a little shorter than Jarrett.
There you go.
Thanks. I am speaking on behalf of our Parents Club and our Scholarship Foundation, which is a big part of our Junior Guard program as we see it today. The Parents Club has given well over $250,000 in college scholarships since 1999 to participants of our program. A part of the program that makes participants come to our program is that we are competitive, we are athletic, we are driven, and the kids go on and take that to the future, and we support them in that way by providing as much as we can to them financially. In the last 4 years, we've raised $90,000 in money that comes from sponsorships that are recognized on our T-shirts, our banners, and at our local competitions as well as our regional competitions. There are people that know about our beach far and wide, just not on the beach. We see it up in the mountains as well. Those T-shirts are everywhere. Without having that competition, we will not be able to create such a revenue that would help fund our scholarship program. Every year we see each applicant, and we have up to 7 to 15, sometimes 19 applicants each year. They provide an essay, and in their essay, we ask for a junior lifeguard essay. And it tells the story of how they feel about this program. I have since found out, as my child has grown away from the program, I have 2, and he's getting ready for college, that the most college-written essay is their life in Capitola Junior Guards that comes out of kids from our area. I want to ask really quickly, how many have received a college scholarship and have moved on to college or a higher education? We have principals, we have fire safety, we have coaches in our schools doing these programs. Here's an excerpt of one applicant and what he wrote, and I quote, "My summers have been rooted in Junior Guard since the age of 7, both as a participant and currently as an instructor. The water safety skills that all junior guard programs teach are extremely valuable, but what is unique about Capitola Junior Lifeguard Program is that it promotes leadership, it teaches teamwork, it demands discipline, and it creates a lifelong friendship. The vast amount of my childhood memories is centered on junior lifeguards, and I feel lucky to have been a part of this program for the past 15 years. That was written in 2009 from John Radavani. He participated all over the state in junior lifeguards, and he's now a fireman, I believe, still, yeah? Fire safety in our community, and actually he's out of our community, but he still comes back to our community. Anyway, we have many of these that we've given away, and you see them everywhere, and you see our past recipients everywhere, and little kids look up to these recipients knowing one day they too will be a recipient of a program scholarship. That's all I got to do.
Thank you, Denise.
My name is Jed Del Favreau and I live in Capitola. I do junior guards every summer. Not having competitions is like being on a soccer team where there's only practices, no games.
Thanks, Jeb.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Tori Del Favreau, and I live on Riverview Drive in Capitola. I am a parent of 3 boys, one of those my darlings just spoke, who participate in Capitola Junior Guards every summer, and I have had the privilege of participating in the program as a child as well. I fully support the city taking steps to acquire the CSLSA certification to have a strong and safe junior guard program on the beach in 2017. There are obviously costs associated with this path, but I do not think that those costs should stop the city from obtaining certification. This program has been cash flow positive for the city for years. According to the staff report, losing just 1 week of this program will cost $75,000. The program in the past has run for 9 weeks, so that puts the math at $360,000 of fees that the city collects per summer. But let's generously round that down to $300,000. I spent some time on the city's fiscal transparency portal. That's a nice way to easily access budgetary information. Thank you. The 2017-2018 budget forecast has the junior guard program expenses at $156,000 and change. We should add in some staff time from other departments, so let's generously round that down to $200,000 in expenses. It should be noted that the registration went online last year, and those expenses should continue to decline. So if we generally round down our fees and generously round up, if we round down our fees and we round up our expenses, that leaves this program cash flow positive of $100,000 per year. We all know this program is wildly popular, and these parents' checkbooks, if we just take the last 10 years, have put $1 million on the city's books. We can fund this change. We can fund this change just from the fees we have collected from these families. Please do not make the fiscal change the reason why this program doesn't get on the beach in 2017. Let's all get to work. Let's make this happen. The money's there. We have paid into the rainy day fund. I kindly ask that the council make every effort to get a CSLSA certified program on the beach in 2017. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a hard one to follow. My name's Sean Newcomb. I was a lifeguard here for, about 7 or 8 years. Lifeguarded for Santa Cruz about the same amount of time. Junior lifeguard instructor over in Santa Cruz for about 5 years. I'm currently a firefighter, paramedic over in San Jose, and I just can't say enough about this program. I came here when I was about 7 years old, didn't know much about Santa Cruz, didn't know much about the ocean, didn't really have any awareness of how dangerous the ocean is, didn't have any awareness of my own capabilities, and I feel like coming here and being in that program not only kept me out of trouble as a kid, because, I was living with a single mom and she wasn't able to watch it. She was working all the time, but it just kind of kept me hanging out with good people who are still my friends to this day. It really helped me focus on my abilities. I mean, we're working out every day. We're learning about the ocean. We're learning about how to be safe in the ocean. And all those things carried on. I mean, I went from a kid that really didn't feel like I had any physical abilities to, I remember I represented Capitola competing at the regional level. I went to the national level. I've traveled all throughout the U.S. Representing this city. I've gotten accommodations from the mayor, as long as some of the other guys that I competed with, representing the city. And I just feel like it's a great thing. That's why I went on to become an instructor. And when I was an instructor, I'll say, I had kids that, had done nothing, they told me up until that point. I mean, one kid in particular sticks out in my mind, really, really heavy-set kid, but always gave 110%. I saw that kid a couple years ago, and it just blew my mind. I mean, the kid is like 6'6". He's a rock, and he says he plays college football now on TV, and he said the junior guard program changed his life. He said before that he just really wasn't motivated, played games all day, and he said ever since then it changed him. He appreciated his body. He appreciated just life and just the ocean. And I just can't say enough. I see junior guards all the time, and the most common thing I always hear is that program changed my life. 20-year reunion, most common thing I heard, that program changed my life. I think it's changed a lot of people's lives. So I think that's why everyone's here today. I got 3 kids. I hope that my kids can have that same experience that I had. I think it's really important, not just for them, but for this community. And I know that the program generates a lot of money. When I was at Santa Cruz, it was one of the only programs that generated money for the city of Santa Cruz. And I just want to say that I think the guys that I was in the program with, a lot of us went on to do good things, paramedic, firefighter, and I just think that it'd be a disservice to not only the individuals but the community as a whole if we cut back the program, including competing. It's a big part of the program and what it's all about. So,
thanks, Sean.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Tally Hoover, and I'm a current resident of Capitola, former junior lifeguard and junior guard instructor. And obviously, I was not around in 1980 when the program started. But since I've been an instructor, so many parents have told me what good things this program has done for the community. And it really makes the community a family environment. And I believe that if we take the competitive aspect out of this program, the whole program will fall apart. If our junior guards are not allowed to compete in competitions, they're going to go to other programs. And even if it becomes a day camp, in 3 years, it's not going to exist. And I believe that this program does more for the community than anything else. Everyone wants to be associated with this program. Like Denise said, the sponsors on the back of our competition shirts, look at how many, just for a tiny little space. And we had to make them tiny because everyone wants a spot. I just believe that the junior guard program instills so many great values into these kids, and these kids grow up to give back to the community. I grew up in Watsonville, and now I live in Capitola, and I totally blame that on the junior guard program. I'm obviously not a public speaker, but I think that this is an issue that I chose to stand up about because I feel so greatly involved, and I just hope that you guys can see as the City Council how important this program truly is to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Tally.
Good evening, council members. My name is Shana Strubing. I am who I am today because of Team Tola. I grew up in the program and later became an instructor. It is carried through to my children who are now a part of the program. I'm here tonight to ensure there will be some kind of plan to continue on our beach and be in accordance with CSLSA. As a parent, I want the instructors to have the highest certification for optimal safety on the beach. The program is the definition of community. There is a brotherhood, sisterhood on our beach, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Team TOLA is the community's recognition of healthy competitiveness. That bond has stood the test of time. That is a very rare thing in this world, and it is something to be valued. I'm happy and very proud to be a part of it. I ask you tonight, council members, to please consider for this summer to try and work with Santa Cruz City to allow us to fall under their chapter as we work towards establishing a CSLSA chapter ourselves. For what you give to this program will come back to the city 10 times over. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna.
My name is Cassidy, and I've been in junior guards 1 year, and I want this program to go on, and I learned a lot about ocean safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassidy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Nikki Brooks, and I'm a former Capitola Junior Lifeguard, former instructor, and I have 2 daughters that are in the program now. And I just read today something about the strongest people are those that cry when there's something passionate about. So I guess that's why I'm emotional. But my life really has been based on my childhood as a junior guard. And it's made me who I am today. I'm a surf photographer, and I'm a marine ecology instructor on the O'Neill CRC program in Catamaran. I've devoted my life to educating others about the ocean, teaching them to respect our ocean environment, and also, and most importantly, is water safety. And I think that being a community, a beach town, the children that live here, that grow up here, we're by the ocean all the time, and instilling in them safety, respect for the ocean and for each other is really important in our community, having eyes on each other when they're in the water and when they're on land. The people in this room are our family, from the children to the elders that started this program, where we all look out for each other, and we're what we provide for this community, whether we're in emergency medical services, which has been spoken about, to educators, to world-class athletes and professional surfers across the board. So I just, I appreciate your time and concern, and I know that we can all work together to have a positive outcome and ensure the safety and progressive movement and keeping this program around for our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Zoe Zawacki, and I was co-coordinator for the Capitola Junior Lifeguard program this past summer. Before that, I was an instructor on the beach for 4 years, and before that, I was in the program for 11. 11 of those years that I was in the program, I was actually commuting from San Jose. Thank you, Mom, for driving me all this time. 5 years ago, I was hired under Haley Juris in an experience that was almost indescribable. Getting the instructor job and working alongside some of my favorite instructors was exciting and one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life. It was crucial to me to do my absolute best in all aspects of the job. The weekend before the program started, we had a basic first aid run by Haley and Sam Hoffman, in which we practiced some C-spine and some bandaging. At the time, it never occurred to me just how undertrained we were. And in fact, reflecting now on my past self, I cannot believe how confident I felt when in fact I should not have. Fast forward to 3 years ago, in which we started to get integrated with the Santa Cruz City Fire to get more training and start legitimately certifying our JG instructors. This process could have been described as rocky at best. We were getting the training we needed, but working with City and setbacks they had led us to relay information far too late to our instructors and was detrimental to getting all of our staff on the same page. Last year, as co-coordinator with Aaron McKinnon, we worked to coordinate with the city to train our staff, and neither side ended up pleased, as I'm sure you've heard, and which is why we are in this current predicament. Minus the chaotic communication with city, the junior guard instructors have been trained for longer periods and much more in depth over the past 3 years. We've received the highest level of training that we have had in years. As some of you may have heard, we had a C-spine on the beach this past summer up coast from Hoopers. With all the training we received, the instructors involved handled it with praise from Central Fire. The higher level of training should be the new standard. And I think we should have this expectation of all the instructors, not only for competition's sake, but as I have shown, for the beach safety in general. We are on the beach at 8:30 a.m. and the tower guards are not there till 11 or 11:30. So not only are we responsible for all 1,100 junior guards, but in the past we've stepped up and done safety lectures and even smaller scale rescues during these hours. As you may know, without this training and sign-off from a legitimate agency, we are no longer considered a charter under USLA or CSLA. Therefore, I would really prefer that as the council, you guys support the hybrid option. As someone who's aspired to be an instructor since I was 6 years old, it's disheartening to hear people in the community not recognize the legitimacy of the program. With almost 18 years on the beach, I cannot express how important this program is to me. It has seeped into most aspects of my life, driven my passion for philanthropy, given me lifetime role models, and is even the focus of my college entrance essay. Therefore, I'd really like you to consider this hybrid option. I think it would really benefit the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good evening, council members. My name is Anthony Gotti. I've worked as a lifeguard instructor for the last 7 years. I started in the program as a 6-year-old, and I would like to say that the program also got me into college. It was my admissions letter. Got me into such fine schools as St. Mary's and also USF. Aside from that, I think it's important to point out that we mentioned earlier about 100 or so kids go to regionals every year. That seems like a small number in comparison to the about 1,000 kids who are at the beach every summer. In first session, we have several hundred kids. I'd like to say that it's a motivating factor for all kids on the beach. They compete for spots to go to regionals. We take about 20 kids from each division. We have structured events every day. We take ranking sheets every week, and they tally their progress. They see where they stand. They grow, develop. We work with them, tell them how they can improve. I work with the older kids, the 16, 17-year-olds, our captain's corps. They volunteer at the beach. They help us out in the afternoons, wrangling children, starting to work with kids. They're who we hire to become instructors and lifeguards in subsequent years. I did it, Zoe did it, just about everyone here who is an instructor volunteered their afternoons. They tend to pay a little bit less for the program because we expect them to give back. Also, we have a lot of kids who go to regionals. I think it's important to point out that not all of those kids are what we would call local. I think that extends to the SoCal district. In fact, a lot of our instructors probably wouldn't be in the program if we restricted it to locals only. I think a lot of our instructor cadre is from Aptos. I think most of them, actually. If you're Aptos, raise your hand. So these are all fine instructors. I'd like to not count them out. So when it comes to picking kids, it hasn't particularly been a problem for what I've seen in the past for people not being able to get a spot in the program. I think that before we put like a locals test, we just take whoever is ready, whoever is willing, and we usually try and squeeze in whoever can't fit for whatever reason. In fact, one of our kids who we sent to the international competition this year, he's from over the hill. His name is Ollie Holt. He comes from San Jose or Santa Clara County. Santa Cruz filled up their program. He couldn't get in, came to us. We send them to the international competition. So we train them, we make them stronger, we make them better lifeguards. I think that it's important that we work as quickly as we can, particularly probably for the hybrid option. From people I've talked to at Santa Cruz, that seems like a doable solution. I'm not sure on certain specifics of it, but from talking to some of my friends at the fire department, it sounds like continuing sort of what we've done in the past, but with extra certification will help for this summer before making the program our own again. That seems like the goal that we're shooting for, to bring it back under Capitola as opposed to Santa Cruz and contracting with them. Hasn't been particularly a problem, but it would be cool to have our own program again, to integrate with lifeguards. It's a big selling point. Some of our past instructors have gone over to work lifeguard.
Anthony, you're a great orator, but you need to wrap up, okay?
So, yeah, hybrid option.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me? Thank you for taking the time for meeting with us tonight. My name is McKenna Madsen, and I would like to talk about how a competitive junior lifeguard program creates a great sense of community. So when you have a competitive junior lifeguard program where you can compete in competitions locally, regionally, and nationally, it creates a special bonding experience. When you're with these kids 8 hours a day down at the beach and you're going through hard things together, running, swimming, sweating, suffering together, it creates a special bond that wouldn't happen if it was just a normal rec program. And these bonds create lasting friendships. When you go through these difficult situations together, it creates a special bond that would be hard to find other places. In fact, many of my friends, most of them, are from junior guards. In fact, I got married a few months ago, and 6 of my bridesmaids were friends that I made just from doing junior guards.
Didn't wear the red outfit.
And junior guards also creates a very special sense of connection between the generations. I remember being a kid in the program, and I would look up to my instructors, and they were my role models and idols, and I love them. And we are still friends to this day. And when I was an instructor, I was able to become friends with kids that were younger than me, and I was also able to become friends with their parents, their grandparents. And junior guards creates a really special bond between the generations. I don't really know any other programs that create that kind of connection. You want to hang out with a 6-year-old or a 17-year-old or a 50-year-old. It's all the same because you all have the same passion for junior guards. And that is what makes a strong community. If we all want to have a strong community here in Capitola, you need every age group. You need the elementary school, you need the middle school kids, you need the grandparents all coming together, and that is what Capitola Junior Guards brings. It brings a strong sense of community. Everyone has so much passion for junior guards that they want this. And this strong sense comes because you've gone through all these hard things. You've experienced so much time together. You know these people like the back of your hand. All the other instructors, all the junior guards, you know their highs, what they're like when they're high, when they're low, everything. And that's what keeps us together because we have gone through these hard things together. So that's why I think that Capitola really needs to keep the competitive nature of this program. Thank you.
Thanks, McKenna.
Hi, I'm Grace Frias. I'm still in the program, and I would like to thank all of you for giving us a chance to speak tonight. It means a lot. I want to share how the program and the competitions have changed my life. The program has showed me that I love swimming in the freezing ocean all year round without a wetsuit. It is something I do almost every day now. I have changed my life around it. It has showed me that there is a vast option of careers in this, in something that I love so much. Without the program, I would not have had the experience that I had to fight for something that I love, and I would not be able to go to these competitions because without them, I wouldn't have known that I love swimming. And with that, the competitions showed me that by swimming and being competitive, that I could. Sorry, I'm at a loss for words right now. What I'm trying to say is the program. It showed me that I was good at swimming. Swimming became what I centered my life around. And without it, I would not be where I am today. I'm currently an open water swimmer. I swim distance, and that is something that without the instructors that have basically raised me from the time I was 6 and running around the beach till now, I wouldn't have learned that. And that's something that's so important because now I'm looking at many career options in the Marine Safety Division. And without that, I want to hear more stories like mine. I want to hear more kids growing up in the program, finding what they love and finding something they're passionate about. I'm hoping that by sharing this, you understand how many kids truly, truly feel this way. And without Junior Guards, we would not have found something that fuel us for the rest of our lives and show us that, you know, there's more than just reading and doing something that we don't necessarily fit into. Having this outdoor experience and having the competitive side is just something that you don't find everywhere. And we are so, so lucky to have it in our own backyard. And so thank you again, and that's my thankfulness for the program.
Thank you, Grace.
Evening, Council, Mayor. My name's Cameron Juris. I'm previous coordinator for the program. My sister has also been a previous coordinator. My family and I have been a part of it for over 25 years. To say that it has shaped who I am, it would be a tragic understatement. It's really easy to make an assumption that only the supporters are here because there are no non-supporters. They simply don't exist. Even those people who the program doesn't necessarily work for are still advocates of it. I'm still approached by them. You know, in the community, I live in I live in Capitola almost, you know, monthly, weekly. You know, I'm walking through Costco and say, thank you so much for helping my kid. Oh, you know, how long were we in the program? Oh, he made it 2 weeks. But that 2 weeks changed how the family, how the child, how everyone interacts with the ocean, with each other, with the city of Capitola. Unique is the only word I have for the junior lifeguard program. And it's vital that the three programs are as different as they are. It's really easy to put us under the umbrella of the city program or the state program. They all provide similar yet very different options and services for different kids and different families who want different things. Historically, Capitola has been a very competition-driven program with a lot of success. You know, I mean, obviously everybody here, you know, produced, I think, if you took a poll of Division I NC2A athletes that have come out of the city of Capitola, you'd be hard-pressed to find one that's not a Capitola junior lifeguard. Competition is what has driven the program. It's what drove me to be an instructor. It's what has let me watch, you know, all the current instructors grow up and be nothing but proud of. I think it's imperative that even under the hybrid program, we keep in mind that that's a temporary solution. I think the end goal has to be and must be complete autonomy with the city itself. And I think there's enough support for it, as you've seen tonight. Funding, I know, is an issue up front. I think anything that we set up in the beginning is obviously going to be cost prohibitive the first go around or even the first couple. But with anything like that, it can be streamlined, and it will be as everyone gets used to it. If anything, the competition should be increased, and that may be some of the solution to some of our enrollment problems in the first session, which is so heavily loaded towards the regionals competition. There is also a nationals competition held later in the year that I know we've attended in the past. Myself and some of the older instructors used to go down and compete as lifeguards with some of the Australians and some of the New Zealand folk that would meet down in San Clemente.
Need to wrap up, Cameron.
It's just imperative to the community and everybody here that we keep it as solvent and whole as possible. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members and Mr. Mayor. I'm Dory Stallings. I was an instructor in 1980 for the Capitola Junior Lifeguards, and I was the second coordinator for the program, and I ran it for 13 years. Just a real brief piece of history. In 1980, when the program started, we were with the city and with the Capitola Lifeguard Department. All the instructors were lifeguards first, and that was something that was really important, I think, and I'd like to see that continue. One of the problems we had was when it was run through the city, the program got so big that it wasn't able to be handled at City Hall. The phone calls, the comments, everything was taking all of the city employees' times to take care of that. So it then did become part of the Capitola Jade Street Recreation Department. In 1980, before the program started, the Capitola Beach was not a place where you'd bring your family generally to go to the beach. It wasn't a very happy, healthy environment for kids to be behaving in. It wasn't supervised. There was a lot of, let me say, riffraff hanging around. Once the junior lifeguard program got off its feet, families were really, really drawn to Capitola, and the whole climate of the village really did change, and it has definitely been very, very good for business in Capitola, the program. As far as competition goes, Capitola Junior Lifeguards has really promoted healthy competition. It's taught the junior lifeguards that they compete and they represent themselves, they represent their family, they represent their community, their school, and they really represent the city of Capitola. And that was something that was really instilled upon all the junior lifeguards, and it really did promote good behavior and positive role models where the older junior lifeguards were looked up upon from the younger kids, and they were kind of put on a pedestal, and it really did help the whole program just continue in that very positive, healthy, competitive way. And they got really, really good at the state level and the national level. The Capitola Junior Lifeguards were respected all over the country because of their competitive attitude and the way they learned to represent the city and everything else that follows or came before that. Without the competition, I don't think that would necessarily continue in that way. I think it's been a really, really good program. I'd like to see the lifeguards, the instructors all be lifeguards first and continue with a high level of training. I would like to see the hybrid program happen for this summer with the intent of Capitola taking back the beach as Capitola City in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dory.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Pam Greninger. I worked for Steve Burrell and Craig French, who visited a number of cities in the state to put together a junior lifeguard program in 1980. And I had a son that was 6 years old, and he was in the first program. There were maybe 25 kids, or I don't know, Dory might know. But anyway, as this group has said, the program has grown, and it is remarkable. I had 3 children in the program. They started at 6, and they went all the way through. I have a son that was a instructor for a number of years, went on and, wrote his thesis for the or his application for college was on his experience with the Junior Lifeguard program. I was on the board of the Parents Club at the time when they would read the letters that the kids would write requesting a scholarship to go to college. And these kids, I mean, everybody was in tears reading these letters because these kids just valued their experience in that program and learned so many wonderful skills, teamwork, and I guess the thing I'm most concerned about now is if they don't get certified, I don't think the program will be the same as it's been all these years. It's critical to have that and have the kids be able to go to regionals or nationals and have that competitiveness at the beach and to be able to go to regionals. I had the opportunity to go there a number of times. We in Capitola represented our city, and we did an awesome job every time. And the one year that we won, everybody's going, where is Capitola? I mean, we were competing against LA County, Huntington Beach. You're talking majorly big programs. And this little beach has probably the most awesome junior guard program. So I really want to encourage you to consider keeping the program so that it has the competitive ability. As a number of speakers have mentioned, the costs, it pretty much pays for itself and then some. The Parents Club over the years that I participated in, we would take kids down and watch the kids whose parents couldn't make it. We would also buy equipment and fund different things. So I think it's just a great program, and I just would hate to see it go back to just a recreation program. I don't think that that's a good thing for the program. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thanks, Pam.
Hello, my name is Tim Rubicaba, and thank you for having me here tonight. To start off, I did junior guards for over 11 years. I was an instructor for 7 years, and now I work as a respiratory therapist at Dominican. And I don't think my career that I have now would have happened if it wasn't for junior guards. The ocean safety, the saving lives, all that kind of stuff that I have learned in junior guards has passed over to my career now, and I thank junior guards for that. And I also want to say, I mean, these people are my family. I can't go anywhere in this town without seeing somebody that I've either been an instructor or my instructor or a parent of a kid. I mean, this program is mind-blowing, how many relationships I have and how I know in the future, I mean, I'm gonna grow up with these people. I don't plan on moving out of Capitola, and I'm going to see these people the rest of my life. But on a different note, competition. Junior guards is nothing without competition. I mean, have you guys been in the water in the morning? I mean, to get these kids in the water, it's that ambition that they're going to make the swim relay, or they're going to make the swim team for regionals or any competition. I mean, the strive of these kids and the athleticism for them to actually get in that water and to swim half a mile is just mind-blowing to me. But it's that competition factor. It's that fact that they're going to go against these other beaches. They're going to go compete against their friends from Aptos Middle School or Branson 40 or anything like that, and they get to go out there and compete and get these ribbons. And I mean, it sounds so silly, but I mean, these ribbons mean everything to these kids. I remember I was not the most athletic child in junior guards. I tried, and I remember regionals every year. All my friends getting to go down there on the bus and competing and coming back with their medals. And I remember it was one of my last years, and I was doing pretty good. I was a good runner. I couldn't really swim. And I remember it was that day where the sign-up or the sheet where the people that made the team were, and I remember just walking up being like, all right, last year maybe I could get on as an alternate, and I made the team. And I think it was one of the happiest days of my life to that point. I mean, all my friends were going for years and years and years. So I didn't think I had a chance when I went down there. There's so many athletic kids throughout the whole California, all over, and I ended up getting 4th place in the distance run out of 67 kids, and I was blown away, and I still have that medal to that day. My mom actually framed it. So, it's just competition. It's something that makes these kids just much stronger in life. I mean, you can just go down there as a recreational program, and they can learn ocean safety that way, but it's that ability that they get to go compete against other people, and their sportsmanship from this program is the most amazing thing I've ever seen as well, especially coming as an instructor, seeing these kids helping other kids from other programs. A kid would fall down, they would help them up, and the handshaking and everything, the congratulations, it's just mind-blowing. And the people that come out of these programs, I mean, they become such amazing people. And yeah, it would be a bummer if they took away competition, and I think that we should do everything that we can. I would even volunteer to come help out with my skill set now. So, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
My name's Grace Nye, and my kids have done this program. My husband did this program. I have a daughter who's an instructor, and I actually want to just take a moment to thank the city of Santa Cruz for taking care of us for the last 4 years. Without them, our instructors wouldn't be as good as they are. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing and what I've seen in the last 2 years with our instructors is they're fantastic. These kids are great kids. And they have gone and done the training. They've spent their weekends. I mean, they were there on prom day, the day of their prom. They are at the beach at the city, downtown Santa Cruz,
doing their towers, doing all the mega run swim, crazy stuff that they have to do to get certified. And somewhere, somehow, and I don't know where it happened, I think the city of Capitola dropped the ball. And the city of Santa Cruz came in and took care of these kids and said, okay, these instructors, this is what you have to do. And somehow, some way, they left that, what do they call it, the month-long training they had to do in May, every weekend in May, rookie school. They weren't legit by the time they got to our Capitola Beach. They were not seen in the eyes of the CS, whatever, LA, as instructors like the Santa Cruz kids were. They did something extra, or they finished. Our kids didn't do that. And I really think that we're doing a disservice to our instructors by saying, here, do all this work, and at the end of the day, no, you're not quite legit. And I think obviously this is a fantastic program. I did it in the 80s. My kids have done it since they were 6. But we have to take care of our instructors too. And we need to make sure that if we're going to say, hey, spend every weekend in May or a whole week of your first week off from summer coming home from college, that you're a fully legit certified lifeguard. So thank you, Santa Cruz, for taking care of us for the last 4 years, babysitting us, personally, what I think. And I think that we need to step up, City of Capitola, and make sure that our instructors are treated professionally, and they take a lot of time and energy out of their lives to do a great job and be responsible for the lives of children on the beach. So we really have to take the time and make sure that these kids, young adults I should say, are trained properly. So that's what I want to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Grace.
My name's Greg. About 23 years ago, my family, we moved here to Santa Cruz, Capitola area, and we met people like Pam Greninger and other folks who said, hey, if there's one thing you do, you got to get your kids in the junior guard program. So we said, okay, well, let's do it. So we started getting involved. Our kids weren't old enough to be in the program, but we started meeting these older kids who were. And when we saw the camaraderie that was built and the community that happened, it was like, this is like a dream in terms of a system within the community. So as leaders, you guys create the infrastructure that allows these great things to happen. If you can't help to create the foundation for us to have a certified program, these amazing things that you've heard about will cease to exist because we won't have that sort of structure. So everybody said it. I'm here to say it again. We need a fully certified program as soon as possible so that we can continue really what the organization is, more than just a program. It's a service program. It's a life lesson program. I have been on the board for the last 23 years. I've seen the impact it's had on the kids, and I've seen the impact that it's had on me as I've been able to give back to the community. And as you know, when you serve, you get more than what you give. But all of these people serve, and as we serve, it draws us closer together. And that bond is something that's impossible to trade off. And I think I'm a great example of sort of the, if you look at my history of how, what you give back from the program. I was diagnosed over 1.5 years ago with cancer. And so I'm fighting through it. And, you know, when you go down and you have, like, challenges, you find out who really cares about you. And it's the people in the junior guard program that, you know, have done, like, amazing things for me and my family through the network that we've built. And people look at me and they go, how do you have all these friends in the community? And I go, well, it's through junior guards. And when times are tough, you need people that love you and that care about you. And I've been a recipient of that over the last year by these people who I've gone on trips with and done amazing things with. You know, Pam Greninger's talking, like, you know, I took her kid to nationals one year. I'm driving in my Suburban. Pam, if you're here, you'll like this story. I'm like looking in my rearview mirror as Nick Greninger and Brookie Detterman are making out in the back seat. And so we're teaching a lot of key skills in this program. Get some. So we've had a great foundation of hardcoreness as well as a lot of fun and really teaching service. So let's keep it going. This is a great place. Let's make it happen.
Thanks, Greg.
Wow,
I
there
don't
is
know- you
no
know
way
what?
to.
I don't know how you follow that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I don't have any stories like that at all. But Mr. Mayor, members of council, and the very proud parents and participants of the strong and competitive Capitola Junior Guard program. Most definitely, I think you've been heard tonight. My name is Jim Frawley. I'm the fire chief of the Santa Cruz Fire and Marine Safety Department. We have been, I wouldn't say babysitting the Capitola program. I would say that we were participating with the Capitola Junior Guard program for the last 4 years. First, I'd like to say that our department, our Marine Safety Division, as well as me personally, stand ready to help Capitola achieve its own autonomous junior guard program, however we get to that point. Okay, absolutely. I do want to make a clarification on the hybrid program. It's not a Santa Cruz Capitola thing. It is truly an autonomous Capitola junior guard program with actually recognized and certified open water lifeguards that sit on a tower. Their tower time is limited to, in the hybrid program, at least as it's conceptually seen right now, to a 2-hour period in the morning. I am a firm believer of teaching people how to fish, and if from that they've learned how to fish and they want to continue to fish more and they want to take back their own beach and reclaim their beach, I totally understand the Santa Cruz Capitola rivalry. I'm okay with that. I believe in what is good government and what is smart government. And 4 years ago, it was good and smart to have Santa Cruz come in and provide the life-saving lifeguards to Capitola Beach. We stand ready to provide that service in perpetuity. But if at some point in time it becomes smart government to take that back over, I'm good with that as well. The way I look at it is the most important thing is making sure that the participants, the kids that are in the Junior Guard program are safe and are taken care of and learn wonderful, incredible skills. So I wanted to say that so that everybody here doesn't feel that there's some sort of animosity or competition with Santa Cruz and the Santa Cruz Fire Department. It may happen on the beach with the kids, but at my level, it definitely doesn't, and it was actually a good collaborative participant action that the city manager and I went through over the last few weeks to try to get to this hybrid program because we wanted you to be able to continue to offer this service to your community. So, thank you.
Chief. But before you go away, I just wanted to acknowledge, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out here tonight and say those words. I also want to thank you for providing the service you provided to Capitola Beach for the past 4 years. And also thank you for the encouragement that I think you've left the people in this room with and the willingness to have a cooperative program. So I think this council appreciates that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Come on up, Steve.
Good evening. My name is Steve Hall. I'm the interim fire chief for the Central Fire District. I've held the position now for almost 2 weeks. So I'm glad to be here this evening. I was approached about the junior lifeguard program recently, and I really didn't have any idea what it was all about, and so I started doing my homework. And the one thing that I figured out with this is the amount of training required. And it's extensive, and I understand that. One of the biggest stressors for a fire chief is ensuring that his or her people go home every night. And the stress is lessened knowing that they are professional, they are certified, they're qualified, and they have the highest level of training. I believe that needs to carry over, and it has carried over into the junior lifeguard program, and it just needs to be consistent as we move forward with whatever program you decide to embark upon. With that, I am committed with Central Fire to offer any resources possible to the City of Capitola and working in partnership with the City of Santa Cruz. Chief Frawley and I have a great relationship, personal and working, and anything that we can do to help the program succeed, I'm here. So I just wanted to introduce myself and let you know my thoughts on that.
Chief, thank you for coming tonight, too. Appreciate it. And we appreciate the service you provide to the city of Capitola, and your willingness to participate in this program will definitely be helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to come?
Didn't fall asleep this time. My name's Nels Westman. 2 generations of my family have been junior guards, and both of those generations have competed at regionals. It is my observation that the Capitola Junior Guard program produces kids who are ocean safe, who are physically better conditioned, who have learned important lessons regarding self-control and following instructions, and finally have become better competitors and better sports. Allowing Capitola Junior Guards to be decertified and unable to participate in important local and regional competitions is a disservice to our kids, to their parents who contribute their time, energy, and money to supporting the program, and to the Capitola community who justifiably take great pride in the achievements of our young junior guard athletes. This whole unfortunate situation reminds me a little of the TV commercial where the proud dad is walking his Little League son back to the car after having just won the championship game. The boy shows his dad his trophy, which says, participant. The great equalizer, I guess. But anyway, Dad takes out his Sharpie, crosses out participant, and writes champion on the trophy. Don't turn our junior guards into just participants. Let them compete, let them excel, and let them be champions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nels. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, as I promised, you were all great participants, so give yourself a big round of applause for your position. And as one of your speakers did mention, I don't believe there was one voice of opposition, so let's see how we can figure this out. Who would like to start? Councilman Termini, please.
I'll grab first position here. We get very few no-brainers here, even though the word no-brainer is used to describe us often. And while, I've been a constant supporter through the Capitola Safety Foundation with scholarships to junior guards, I won't reiterate everything everyone said, like most politicians would, because we like to talk. The hybrid option is the way to go. Let me just mitigate what you think is a large expense, because it's not. Even though I disagree with some of Tori's math, we'll talk about it over the fence later because we live next door to each other. That $75,000 reduction is going to happen no matter what we do. By shortening the program and doing it right and providing the right training, that has nothing to do with the rest of it. Okay? So it's not $105,000 a year. Don't look at that as a huge number, even though it's year after year. I think the hybrid option is the way to go. I think that the $30,000 is a very small price to pay for this remarkable program. And I would, the swim test, why don't we give the swim test? That blew me away. And I thought I knew a lot about junior guards. And I'll leave that to the guard parents and the board and whatever. Seems like an obvious thing. I think we need to give preference, sorry, Aptos folks, we need to give preference to people in the district and the city. And I think even with that preference, I don't think anyone's going to be turned away, frankly. I believe, and I've spoken to some instructors, some past instructors, and some current instructors this last few weeks, and the capping the program at 1,000 makes sense because it's safer. That's the bottom line. When one instructor looked at me and said, oh, 1,200, keep it to 1,000. It's safer. That's all I had to hear, period. Because ultimately, our job up here is not to pinch pennies over 30,000 or not 30,000. That's like half a street of slurry seal. That's nothing. Our job is to, number one, keep the program going so I can keep telling the Santa Cruz City Council members that we have a better junior guard program. It's one of the few things I get to beat them over the head with. And maintain the safety of the young people on our beach, period. So my motion will be to adopt the hybrid option.
Second.
There's a second. Thank you. More conversation? Dennis?
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that, Mike, that we move staff to create self-independence within the next year. And
well, I have to question that. And forgive me, those of you who were, big team told, let's take back the beach, let's be our own lifeguards. It was smart government doing what we did. And many of the lifeguards we had in our own program before were given the opportunity to integrate into the Santa Cruz department, to move on to be EMTs, to be firefighters. I spent a lot of time speaking to lifeguards when we made that change because I didn't want to cut them all out and leave them in the cold. It was a step up. We have a great program there, and Chief, thank you very much. First class guarding out there, the equipment, the personnel, the training we give to our former lifeguards that have become Santa Cruz lifeguards. I think we need to move very carefully with that. Not that I can't be convinced, because I'm all about Capitola, as you know, but let's tread very carefully because we have a tremendous lifeguard program out there right now. It's to
I'm
be
not saying that,
commended.
Mike. I just think that I don't want to be sitting up here next year at the same situation, and it can turn around on us.
You won't be sitting up here next year.
I won't be.
Well,
I'll be sitting right over there at that podium.
I have to question, a lot of this came up, and maybe I'm just, a conspiracy theorist, but maybe, were we winning too much? Were these people giving us trouble? What's going on? Like, we're totally unbeatable, and all of a sudden we're not certified? Please, come on. Something else is going on here. So,
I'd just like to add a few things.
Go ahead, Dennis.
In this room, there's a lot of analogies made of the junior guard and who the junior guard are, and I'm going to read them back to you real quickly. The junior guards create community, discipline, health, friendships, ocean awareness, good citizens, family, association, great values, involvement, brotherhood, sisterhood, competitiveness, passion, responsible adults, special bonds, lasting friendships, commitments of generations, connection with the ocean, lifeguards, firemen, good behavior, life lessons, and most of all, Capitola citizens. How could any community not go into that supported program? I mean, we value that. That's all I'll say.
I'm glad this is working out. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm sorry we had to go through this. I'm sorry that we didn't have it figured out and didn't have a smooth transition, but I think this will work really well.
John?
So I was at a fire in Santa Cruz the other day, and guys were standing around and keeping track of people like me getting in the way of the firefighting. But there was this one guy off the side, and I went up to him and I said, I'm from Capitola, and we have a little problem here with junior guards who just got decertified. I'm really concerned. Just to let you know, my daughter went through junior guards. And afterwards, we're talking a little back and forth. He's explaining the situation from, Santa Cruz's viewpoint, being a fireman. And then when we left, we both agreed it's about the kids. And that's all it's about. But I learned a bunch of other things tonight, too. Kim and Jared agreed to have some time with me, and it was great. I went to a great coffee house I never heard about in Portola. And Kim described a situation where a kid, jammed his head. I don't know if it was a girl or a guy. Jammed his head in the surf. And they need some... Oh, okay. Yeah, I really hope that didn't work the wrong way, believe me. But the main point that Kim had was that we really need trained people, and I think everyone here got that message if we didn't know already. So having the training that Santa Cruz Fire has provided all these years, and we've already thanked them because they came here, is absolutely essential. So that is the standard that we have to have. I agree with Mike and others here, it's been seconded already, that we should go the hybrid. But I think we should have the possibility that we do regain our own program. You know, we'll find out if that's what we're going to want to do in a couple of years, you know. But we need to run this program. We need to run it smoothly. Apparently there's some administration issues, you know, the whole thing of putting too many people on the beach and stuff like that. We got to work those things out. We need to have a program that has that all worked out at the beginning of the year, that kind of stuff. I don't want to have a bunch of people there and not enough guards. In terms of community, you know, my family and I moved here, my wife and I and Dominique. It was a really hard time in our life. It was really hard. And, you know, I took Dominique down in the summer because I was on vacation and stuff like that. But anyway, it was just great watching every day what was going on back and forth. It was just unbelievable from my standpoint as a parent. And then I asked Dominique one day walking around, I forgot where it was, and I said, you know, how many of those kids do you know? And she's pointing, I know everyone on the street. And it's like, just blew me away. All these kids, you actually know them? Yes, I know them. Are you friends with them? Well, some I am and some I'm not. But it was just really neat. So the whole idea of community just sort of struck me in a big way. And that's, I think, what was very important to my daughter. So I think we need to forget about, in a way, how we got here. At first, I was very angry, you know, because I knew how much it meant to my daughter. I know how much it means to Capitola that this program exists and all that it's done. But I think this is a good thing that it happened. We're sort of reevaluating ourselves. We've come together. We may make a decision to take back our beach. So I think all this is good. I'm not the kind of person who looks back unless we haven't resolved ourselves and we haven't decided a good way to move forward. And I think we have. And this situation has brought that about. So I'm actually happy we're actually here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Sure. The one thing that's obvious to me is that this is a very passionate subject. I mean, I felt in everybody's voice there was a connection. And to the people that aren't even here, I know that anybody who participated in this program probably shares the feelings that you have. But the other comment that was made is we got here honestly. I mean, this program grew too big, too fast, too many people, and nobody had an idea that all the requirements that were necessary to have a quality and safe program. One of the comments that was made, you know, that really struck with me was this was a confidence builder, and that's the kind of programs we want to have in this town. I mean, it's one thing that, you know, you can go to school and you can learn any number of classes in education, but building confidence is something that just doesn't come about every day. So this type of program, it's unique to Capitola. It's a great program. And the one comment that got me a lot was McKenna got up and said, the definition of a strong community is one where all ages are involved. And that's what I see here, is you know, all ages are involved. This is good across the board. The focus now needs to be on what we need to do. The junior guard program, as it was, you know, was functioning. The hybrid proposal, I think, is what's most likely going to happen, because as we sit here, beginning December, we've got a program that's due to start next year. We've got a willingness of the city of Santa Cruz to cooperate with us and try to get that program on board. I think, as Councilman Norton mentioned, you know, maybe the plan is to have our own program. That needs to be a good decision that we work out, because I like the relationship we have with the city of Santa Cruz. I like the safety that's on our beaches. I like the resources that they have available. I know there's a way that we can have maybe our own program and yet maintain safe beaches. I'm not sure about the finances, as Councilman Termini mentioned, you know, I don't think we're making money hand over fist on this, but it needs to be looked at. But the one thing that I do know is 2 years ago, this council tried to put a measure on the ballot to raise the TOT tax, which was going to generate about an additional $100,000. And we couldn't agree what that money was to be used on, and maybe that was one of the reasons why it didn't succeed. What I can see on these costs and the analysis is for us to have our own program is somewhere in the nature of $100,000. And considering that Watsonville just passed the TOT tax and Carmel passed the TOT tax, and we're the only city that doesn't have 11% TOT tax, if we were to raise it and be equal with every place else in Santa Cruz, and we committed to dedicating those funds to supporting Capitola's own junior guard program that met all the criteria that guaranteed it could compete forever and ever, I think that would be a good thing to put on the ballot in 2 years. But with Councilman Termini's proposal, I think Capitola can figure out a way to get us to 2 years from now, and maybe the political environment will be good and the support of Team Tola will be there, so that if that measure does come on the ballot and you knew the money was going to be used for that, it might succeed. So
I might add that my motion is just to go with the hybrid program. And remember, having the city of Santa Cruz help us protect our beaches and having a certified junior guard program are not mutually exclusive concepts. Okay, I see not only getting a better relationship with Santa Cruz, a continued one, but also I see fire districts starting to talk about merging. And I see, fire districts coming together, so it could all be us, not take our beach back. It's always been our beach. It's never stopped being our beach. But I think that the organization that protects our coast become more encompassing.
So with that, I just want to clarify the motion, just so we understand. I believe we're going to raise the non-resident rate. That's part of the motion. We're going to limit the program to 1,000, and we're going to shorten the term to 2 4-week sessions so that training can take place in the first week.
Yeah, I don't think staff would propose a hard cap of 1,000, but obviously we're proposing a reduction in the overall number.
A soft cap of 1,000.
Yes.
I think that staff needs to talk to the instructors and the coordinators, because no one knows what it takes to control the beach and the number of participants more than the people who do it. So let's not make an administrative decision without consulting with the people who actually do the work.
Okay, Jock, you had a comment or a question? Or?
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. I'm still a little uncertain about whether we really want our beach or a hybrid program is the way to move forward. And so we need that conversation in the community, and we need that information back. We need that interchange. If Santa Cruz has really been providing what we actually need and it's been totally satisfactory, if we're going to get something extra out of it because it's going to, something more, pride of beach, pride of our community, maybe that has a lot of value. So we got to start thinking about those things. That's all. And that's it.
Dennis, a question?
I'm going to follow the motion, but I really think that we shouldn't put this out of our mind to find a path to CSLSA certification. That should be continual discussion. And we kind of put it back on staff for that. I think that it needs to continue because it may be within a year or 2 years that we need to go that direction.
Well, I don't necessarily want to see this as a Band-Aid. What I'm seeing is you're proposing a hybrid solution that will certify our guard program year after year. I don't want to do something that's going to leave these folks back in this room in 2 years not knowing what's going on or where they stand. Am I wrong? The hybrid will give us certification that we can hold on to?
Councilmember Termini, you're exactly right. The point, the caveat that I think that we need to make and make sure we're clear on is this is still subject to CSLSA approval. So right now what we're proposing is Capitola would have its own chapter, and we would be responsible for beach life safety from 9 to 11 weekday mornings. Contract with Santa Cruz would remain. Santa Cruz would have lifeguards. Santa Cruz would have our own junior guard program. We'd have our own USLA chapter. So we would get everything that we're looking for here. The relationship with Santa Cruz would continue.
So
that's the
upon approval, we would be our own chapter ongoing.
Well, there's a few more steps into getting the chapter formed, but yes, that would be the path you'd be setting us off on.
Good. Thank you.
I think what we want to leave the notion in the audience is we're going to have hybrid or better is what we're looking at, okay? And then right now, what the motion is to get a hybrid program, and that does require approval from CSA.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so anyway, with that, Sue, can we do a roll call on the motion?
Councilmember Norton?
Aye.
Councilmember Harlan?
Aye.
Councilmember Bertrand?
Aye.
Councilmember Termini?
Aye.
Mayor Bottorff?
Aye, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you for coming tonight. We're going to take about a 5-minute break while the room clears.
southwest corner of the Nob Hill parking lot. The orange line on there is a new force main that we're going to be putting. We're going to be horizontal drilling underneath Soquel Creek. It's going to come out at the corner of Wharf and Clares. And the upper portion of the slide on the Bay 1 property, that's where the staging area is going to be. So project details, there's 4 main components of this project. The first is we're going to be putting in the new 24-inch force main. There's an existing 27-inch force main that's out there, which is oversized. So the intent of doing this, there's a few reasons. One is it'll help protect help improve water quality, hopefully, in Capitola Beach as well as Soquel Creek. It's going to be, as I said, it's going to be the right size, so it's going to improve our efficiency with the pump station. It's also going to increase our cleansing velocity in the pipe, so that should help reduce odors as well. And it will help having a more efficient or appropriately sized pipe is going to be, will reduce our maintenance of our pumps. The second component is pump station upgrades. There's some mechanical improvements that we're going to be doing. Odor control upgrades. During the process of, with our design consultant, they hired a odor control specialist to, look at the odor controls and make recommendations on what we should be doing to improve the odor with the pump station. And as you know, you probably get quite a few complaints about that. So some of the odor control upgrades are a new air intake structure to improve the capture of the foul air. There's also new piping and carbon vessels sized for foul air flow and constituents. And there's a new exhaust fan and discharge duct. And finally, there's some concrete repairs. The station is in, some of the concrete is spalling out there and cracking, so we're going to be fixing some of the concrete out there as well. So as I said, the directional drilling is going to come out at the corner of Wharf and Claire's. So Claire's is going to be shut down for maybe 4 to 6 weeks during construction. Wharf Road will remain open, and this kind of shows a detour plan where how traffic will move around. I think that's kind of an important component within the city of Capitola. There will also be some, I don't have slides of it, but there will also be some work within the parking lot itself of Nob Hill. It's going to kind of shift around a bit during construction, and we're working on easements with Red Tree Properties as well. Scheduling, we're anticipating starting in late spring, early summer. We're still waiting on our Army Corps permit. Once we get our Army Corps permit, then we can finish applying for our loan with the Water Board, the State Water Resources Control Board. And construction time is estimated at 180 working days. And that's the basic overview of my presentation. If you have any questions.
Will you perform this with just 2 boring pits?
Yes, there'll be one in the Nob Hill parking lot, and then the other will be up at on Claire's right, adjacent to Wharf.
And that's the extent?
Of the pits, yes.
Okay. When you talk about increased water quality, that would lead me to think that we may have concerns with leakage of the existing pipe under the creek?
It's suspected that it hasn't been fully investigated. It's a force main, so it's really hard to get in there and do inspections of force mains. It's our second largest pump station in our district. So I've heard anecdotally that there's some monitoring wells out there that every once in a while they get some readings that would indicate that it might be wastewater that's in Soquel Creek. But whether that's coming from our pump station or septic fields upstream, we don't know. But
will you abandon the existing force main in place, or will you somehow seal it, cap it, fill it?
So we're not going to be the way that the new force main is going to work. The pumps are going to pump a different direction and come out the front of the pump station. Currently, the existing force main comes out the backside of Soquel Creek. So the lines are going to be kind of reversed. We're not going to abandon it in place. After it's done, we're going to come back. We're going to inspect it. It's always nice to have a redundant system, so we might go through there and line it at some point, just in case something happens.
That was going to be my next question, if you're going to sleeve the existing pipe. Okay. And are we going to see you have the uncanny ability to tear up new roads all the time. And, God love you. You do great work. Thank you for everything you do. But we're getting ready to build a library. So when it's all said and done, it'll just be an enormous patch on Clare Street, basically.
That's correct.
Which will help us carry on with our Clare Street traffic calming. Is this the nexus to that? That, pyramid-like project that we've been talking about for years?
The project continues up to 46th.
Right.
From that intersection, so they're going to do an open trench from Wharf Road to 46th.
And once that's done...
That's what we're kind of been waiting to get done, but now we're looking at moving forward with our project from 46th to 41st.
Ron Skelton will be very happy, thank you.
Yes, you will. John?
So, to me, this is a major issue for the city of Capitola on many levels. And in particular, I went to every single business in the area around Nob Hill and CBX, small businesses and large businesses. And to the person, to the business, it is a major impact. People don't like going shopping for fresh groceries when they have to smell sewer. People in the areas that live around that area, the pump station, some beautiful houses, some just regular old places like mine, but you live with that day in and day out. Is this project going to get rid of that smell that we've been living with I've been here 20 years, some have said longer than that.
That's one of the goals of the project, is to deal with the smells, and so the answer would be yes.
Okay, that's a goal. And is it a hard yes?
Well, the proof is going to be when we get out there. We're doing everything we can to deal with the odor issues. We have the odor control specialists out there, and so Yeah.
Okay, so if the first fix doesn't work, are you going to come back? Is there a budget to come back and to resolve what may have been missed and actually fix the problem?
We'd have to look and see what the issues are and how much it's going to cost to fix things. If the first thing doesn't work, we're confident that our odor control specialist has addressed the issues.
Then, okay, so you'll come up with another budget. Okay, so that's very important to this community. And I understand that you're representing the technical side, and you have come up with a plan to do that, and I respect that. To this community, can you tell us why it hasn't been functioning properly to date? Why are we smelling what we have been smelling for the last 30 years, I think?
Well, it's a 40-year-old pump station, and I was just out there touring it last week, and it's in pretty bad shape. And the concrete's cracking, the odor control is undersized. The fan systems in there just aren't good. So we're going to be updating what's out there now. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
Sort of. It sounds like a lot of things have been failing. So for the pump station as it's going to be after the upgrade, is there an adequate PM maintenance so that these things don't degrade and so that the problem doesn't start creeping up again as it must have been since the last one was fixed or built?
Well, so
I don't want it to be abandoned and then gradually the smell starts coming back and to be told that there's not budget to fix it, and you know what I mean?
So this is one of our, again, this is our second largest pump station, and our large pump stations, we have our operations and maintenance crews. They go out there daily and look at and do inspections of the large pump stations. So So the answer is yes. I mean, once they're out there, once we make these upgrades, they're going to be staying on top of things. It's just gotten to a point where there wasn't budget, and we've had lots of other projects to do, and we've finally been able to get grant funding. We already have $1.9 million in a grant fund that's already been awarded. We're waiting on the loan components, a $6 million project. So unfortunately, the projects that we do aren't cheap, and we have over 40 pump stations in our district. So there's a lot to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been looking over your manual. I'm the alternate after Stephanie, if she can't go to a meeting. If there's going to be a purification station with SoCal Water District, how's that going to impact the pumping station there? And will that influence how this project may work or function?
I don't think that their project will really have much of an effect on this pump station. From the options that I've seen that they're working on, I think their primary project is pulling water from the city of Santa Cruz. They're pulling wastewater from the city of Santa Cruz treatment plant, and then
it could be one or both ways.
No, it can't, because it's purified water. It's not purified at the pumping station. It has to be purified before they put it back in the ground.
They would do a purification. They would do their own purification. So one is to get from them directly, or the other is to get from Santa Cruz. So
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the project that they're pursuing now is to actually take the wastewater, the treated wastewater from the Neary Lagoon facility.
Okay, so they made that decision.
Yeah, they've made that decision, so they would just be doing fourth level treatment here, not taking raw sewage from.
So I thought it was two ways, and so they made that decision. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and then likely if they do that project, the only thing that we would really see, depending on where they land with their site, they would be pumping basically their brine back into our system, which would be running through our pump station.
Okay, and that might be a benefit, right, in terms of volume increase?
I think it's going to be minimal. We haven't seen the volumes of what they're saying yet, but I don't think it's going to be much of an impact.
City of Capitola looks forward to this improvement.
I used to live on Sunset Drive right behind
Mount
Hill, so that was about 17 years ago, but that was, I'm well aware of the smells. It was pretty bad back then. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did get a tour of the dungeon, if that's what you call it. So how deep does that go?
It's 2 stories deep.
Okay. I wasn't sure it was 2 or 3. Okay. It's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Dennis.
Yes, can we bring the slide back up that shows the pipe where it goes through restaurant property? Thank you. So it's going to be passing underneath our new pathway we put in. Where's it coming up in relationship to the stairs and the bridges?
I'm not.
Is that the actual direction? Just straight? Doesn't come up. It's not
Just two pits.
So it would be from the pump station, and when it goes under Soquel Creek, it's going to be 40 feet below the creek bed, and then it's going to work its way
What's
up.
below the creek bed?
40 feet or something like that. Yeah, it's really deep. Wow. And then it goes under the garden, in the Rispin Gardens. It's 20 feet, 30 feet deep through there. And it daylights at the corner of Wharf Road and Claire's, right at the corner where the crosswalk is. So there.
It does pass underneath our new walkway then?
Yes.
Go through that?
Yeah. But it's well underneath it.
Well
Yeah.
underneath it.
We don't have to tell you there's a high-pressure gas main there, right? You got that all worked
I
out?
think they did, USA, yeah.
Okay, can we go to the picture of the elevation of the building? So the public bathrooms in there are closed, right?
Correct.
We're looking for a new library spot. I was just wondering if. Look at the architecture. You already got the parking?
Are you done?
No, I have one more question.
Is it late, Dennis?
It is.
Yeah.
What do they call an odor control specialist?
What do they call them?
Yeah, what was their title? What are they? Odorologist? or
Odorologist?
Odorologist?
Sounds good.
Urologist.
Odorologist. You don't need
Is that really a trade or somebody that actually does that?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Look for the big guys.
Well, that's actually a gorgeous building. You look at it, it's got great potential.
Thank you. Any more questions?
No, thanks.
Really bad, Dennis.
Stephanie's not. I just have one. I just have one question. I'm not sure if you know the footprint when you're going to be digging these pits. Is that going to affect the recycling center? Or is that going to be open? Are you going to be closing off that access?
I'm not familiar with the recycling center.
It is on the
So let me go back to this.
east side of.
They have to keep the loading docks open for Nob Hill.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say. That it would be to the. Well, it's behind Nob Hill. It's, to the right of that circle.
I'd have to go back and look at the staging plan. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. I mean, the size of the pit, 20 by 20.
Yeah, it's not the size of the pit that's really the issue. It's when they start getting that pipe in there, they lay the pipe back beyond it, it was just going to take a lot of room.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that if you're working your deal, that there's probably some plans you've made with Nob Hill with the loading docks, and if the loading docks are going to be accessible, that probably would ensure that the recycling center wouldn't be affected either. So I think we'll just go with that. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for that presentation. I'm going to let you sit down and see if there's anybody from the public that would like to weigh in on this.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Anybody from the public have any questions, opinions on that presentation? Okay. Hooray, yeah, that's it. So we just need to receive the report? No action? Okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. We look forward to that project. And okay, thank you. That'll take us to the next and the highlight of the evening, receive the report on special events for 2016.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. It's that time of year again to go over our special events from the year 2016. And just to kind of give everybody an idea, every year we go through this opportunity to call out any issues, give you a report as to how many events we had, and any significant suggestions or comments that we might have received over the year in regards to the special events. As you know, they are divided into two categories, general special events and minor events. Those events, as far as general events, are ones that have attendees over 200 people or notable impacts to city services or particular neighborhoods. Minor events are less than 200 people and they have limited impacts. General special events come here to the council for approval and any other conditions. Minor events we can approve through the city manager's office. Just give you a little background, in 2002 the council approved a resolution adopting our special event program. The purpose of the program to provide regulation and guidelines for any special events and also to help recover the cost to provide services to those events. So in 2016, from November of 2015 until now, we had 11 general special events and 14 minor special events. So we had 25 total. That's the same number we had the previous year. The minor events sometimes come and go. Some of them are one-time events. For example, minor events, we had 2 weddings on the bandstand, and we also had a special service on the beach. So those are not always reoccurring events. Some of the challenges that we had with our special events, obviously we are a small community, and through the summertime, traffic impacts are significant. We do utilize all of our social media presence that we have, our Nixle alerts, Facebook, Next Door Neighbor, to try and get the information out to people about road closures and upcoming events. They are extremely appreciative of those notifications. We also use our department's Facebook page. But as we know, by the end of the summertime, we do get event fatigue from our community. They have to work through all the significant road closures and the impacts from our special events. In regards to the Begonia Festival, tradition here that is, just a beautiful opportunity to work with our community. All of our events are actually very community involved. The Begonia Festival, we've worked with them. We did receive a concern about excess trash on the beach. The challenge with that is that it's usually over a 3-day weekend, and so you have not only a large group of folks here for enjoying the event, but then you have the regular summer traffic as well. And so we've tried to put additional people out on the beach and helping through collect some of that trash. So that's something that we'll be meeting with them to try and remedy that problem for the future. The other piece to the Begonia Festival is obviously our trestle. It is coming up with some holes in it. It's a problem. It is a great viewing spot. People love going up there, but we're going to have to deal with that issue, and we're going to have to make sure that we provide safety to the community. And we tried doing some soft closures up on the trestle this year, and that didn't work. So we're going to have to try and get some uniform presence up there, whether it's a security officer or some sort of presence to try and keep people off of the trestle so that the event can be safely managed and we don't have anybody hurt. We've talked to them about that. They understand that, and we plan on continuing that dialogue with them that we can at least make that a little bit more safer up there. We did have some issues with the Mermaid Half Marathon. We've had some sound issues the last 3 years, whether it's starting the music too soon, making it too loud, and we've tried to work with them. And we need to try and nail that down so that we don't have any impacts on our neighbors. They utilize the parking lots. We do have close areas of neighbors that are impeded and do feel the effects of the loud noise, and we've communicated that every year, and we seem to solve one issue and then another one crops up in regards to sound. And we might have to eliminate amplified music as part of their permit condition if that's something that they cannot remedy. So we have been trying to work with them. In regards to the event fatigue, I do want to make council aware that we still get additional requests for not only minor events, but general events. We've had 2 people contact us this year already about possible events next year. We've informed them about the strong sense that people are getting tired of events and that we're expanding this program. And so that's something that would have to come back to the council because they are general events. But I do want to make you aware of that it is a destination spot. People do enjoy having events here, and there is a push, at least talking to other communities, that more events are cropping up all over the place. So Capitola is a destination spot, but we have informed them that our community is starting to feel that pressure, and they are letting us know about that. In regards to the fireworks, I think most of us know that there was a significant presence of fog this year, and to the point where most people were leaving early. And what we do is we follow the road closures for the wharf-to-wharf race, and we use the same blueprint because it's easy to get in and get out, and it applies a safe presence for people who are walking back to their cars if we don't have vehicle traffic there. We're able to close the road about 7:45. We try and wait as long as we can so that the road closures are not long. The fireworks show starts about 8:30, and once that starts, we wait until about 10 minutes or so after it's over, and then we'll open the roads. The challenge with that is people want to get to their homes who don't remember the event or who have not participated in it. And what we do is we do allow people to pass road closures when it is safe to do so. However, this year, because of the fog, people couldn't see the fireworks. We had a lot of pedestrians in the street leaving early. And so we had to keep people from entering, especially the Depot Hill area, early like we have in the past because people were leaving early. And so that created some frustration and some concern from folks. But with the fog this year, it really lowered the lights on the street lights. It was very difficult to see, and we just couldn't risk somebody getting hurt by trying to allow them access to their homes. We asked them to wait a little bit longer, and sometimes that was too long. So in regards to summer activity, just to let everybody know, we no longer issue grants for permits. The council years ago used to do that prior to 2012 for our personnel costs. We do recover all of our personnel costs. This last year totaling $22,000. We also, the permits and the bandstand rental fees paid us $7,203. And so it seems to be an effective way of getting things done, but we do at least want to let you know some of the concerns from individual events that we had this year, and we're ready to answer any questions that the council might have or the community might have.
Questions? Stephanie?
Can we safely staff all of these events? Because I think it's time to take a really good, hard look at them. And if we're spread too thin, the officers are spread too thin, the volunteers are spread too thin, the public works are spread too thin, I'm fine with cutting back and saying, no, we're not going to have 60 events, we're only going to have 50.
And that's an excellent
35 or something like that. You know, I mean, we can only do so much as a small city, and I don't know how you guys do it.
Well, we're fortunate enough that the community is very active, and we're lucky on that aspect. And we do have a lot of volunteer efforts. In fact, all of the special events utilize a lot of their own volunteers. There does create a challenge, and you make a good point in that, at least the last couple of years, we, as far as the police department, for either recruiting issues or injuries or personal time off, we've been short-staffed. And we are finally at a point where we're actually better staffed than we have been in the last few years. So moving forward, I think we're going to be in a better position. But it does create an additional challenge in that we have to schedule people. There's additional overtime, which we do recoup, but it does put a lot more pressure on staff.
Because this would be the time also to say no more applications
And
for people that are asking.
That's up to us.
For new.
That's up to us.
Oh, no, I mean, exactly.
Right.
That's what I mean. This would be the time to look at it and to see what do we want to do. And I just think it's a big burden on you when we keep adding another one. They're little, but they add up. And I can't imagine how your department in Public Works even handles that many races in a little teeny town like this.
Some of the minor special events do not require any staff time. Again, like a wedding on the bandstand. Some of them are small, and so they don't require much of our staff time out in the field. It does cause staff time to process the permit and to meet with the permit holder, but some of those don't require that much work. The general events, the much larger events, they do require some staff time. It does require us to staff certain events, and so you are correct in that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think one point I just want to emphasize is that, so the way our process works is this is a list you have this evening of all the recurring major special events. And our process right now is if there were no significant issues or no significant changes, staff will reissue the permits for next year unless we're directed this evening to bring one of them back for additional review. I think Last year, the point Councilmember Harlan made was made by other members of the council, that they were going to look extremely skeptically at new applications for general special event permits. And so that's the position that staff has taken with anyone who is inquiring about getting a future special event permit. So if you wanted to scale it back, let us know which one of the specific permits on here you'd like to specifically review, and we could bring it back to the full council to review later. Otherwise, we would reissue them for the programs that don't significantly change next year.
Well, I don't know if we could judge them, because you're a better judge of which events take a whole lot of time or a lot of trouble and, big hassle, and gee, you'd like to kind of have them go somewhere else.
I think you can see pretty well the hours in the attachment. They're summarized how much hours by department. And so the big ones are obviously the car show, half marathon, wharf to wharf, Begonia Festival, Art and Wine, Mermaid Triathlon, and then fireworks. Those are the biggest.
It appears there's only 8 events that require police and public works.
That's about right.
That's what I see, yeah.
There's only 8 on there.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to request that, in view of the fact that the only event that's really caused us a real headache has been Mermaid. And I'm not talking about eliminating it at this meeting, but I think just to give them a heads up, before their event, let's bring them in for a review so they know that we're focusing on them.
I just want to comment on the Mermaid, because I did get phone calls during the Mermaid event about when they were doing the raffle. And I actually went down there, and the speakers were all faint, so they could get everybody's attention. They had turned the speakers, which were normally facing towards the ocean, to the town for the raffle. And so when I went there, I said, would you mind just turning those back around to solve the problem? So I think, as Councilman Termini said, it's just a tune-up of what they were doing fine until they decided to turn the speakers around. And like Dennis said, I see 8 events that required police involvement. And I don't think, according to, if I read in between the lines, you said, other than the Mermaid, we didn't get complaints on any of these, although I realize the Art and Wine and the Begonia are very labor-intensive for PD. Other comments, Jacques?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, Stephanie, you done?
No,
Okay, good.
yeah.
She was done, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, I was going to say the same thing Mark did about the Mermaid. When they come and make the permit application, and how does that process work in terms of reviewing what they do, their procedures? Do they have standards they need to be made aware of, and things like that? How does that work?
We develop conditions with them and let them know the reasons why we have the conditions, and then it goes through the administrative process, depending if there's road closures or if there's public works assistance that needs to be signed off, or they have to produce insurance, whether it goes to the fire department for a particular road closure. So there is a process that it has to go through in order for the permit to be approved. And if there's any significant changes, then it has to come back to the council for approval.
Okay. A couple times I've had, complaints about getting into Depot Hill, for instance, if there's a roadblock. So how do we handle the situation where someone comes up to the roadblock and says, I live over there? I mean, how's that dealt with?
We try and confirm that the person is a resident there, or that that there's a meaningful purpose there. And like I mentioned earlier, depending on the crowd or the activity that's going on, we generally will try and let them through if it's safe to do so. The challenge we had this year that we couldn't do like we have in the past is because of the fog. It really curbed the lighting, and there were people leaving early, and so the road was pretty packed with people walking away from the beach or even trying to get down there still.
Yeah. And I was glad to see the barrier put in place so that people couldn't take the Fanmore cutoff.
Yes.
That was very good, because I talked to an elderly lady there, and she said it's like a freeway here, and she couldn't even feel comfortable walking out of her house. So thanks for making that change.
Mike, any comments? No. Any other comments?
Oh, I did have one more. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Beach cleanup. We've had Hope provide services downtown a couple times. Is maybe reaching out to them. They seem to enjoy being involved and getting some meaningful work, and maybe they could help with the beach.
I think that's something we can obviously discuss with the Begonia Festival staff. They recognize it, very responsive. They're always active in their events, and one thing we have started to notice, I think, over the years is finding volunteers. New volunteers is always a challenge, and so trying to provide more activities is going to require more volunteer staff. And so that has always been a challenge, but we're willing to work with them, and they've always been very flexible in trying to reduce any impacts to the city.
Save Our Shore has been real active after the big events, too. They
Yes.
come in after every big event.
Very
Yes,
good.
they're there.
Other questions? Okay, Chief, I want to thank you. Before you leave, I just want to take this opportunity to say a couple things. Number one, thank you for successfully passing the baton to Chief McManus, our new chief. We look forward to having the same relationship with him that we had with you and enjoyed. And again, I think this council just wants to thank you for you staying on as the interim chief and coordinating all the events and not leaving us in kind of a hole. And we wish you success in your future. Thank you very much for all you've done for the city of Capitola.
You have told the chief that he's the vice president of the Community Foundation, of the Safety Foundation, and the new coordinator of the car show.
He's actually a car enthusiast.
I knew that actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been in the tall grass waiting for you.
But the one thing he doesn't know is, see, I was a baseball guy back at San Jose State, and we kind of took care of the Dons when I was playing. So.
Perhaps an intramural. I think an intramural game is in order here.
Anyway, it has been an honor to serve you and the community, and I just really appreciate the opportunity. It has just been a dream come true.
That it was. Thank you very much, Chief. It was a great run you had here, and everyone here appreciates it, as does the community. Thank you. Okay.
It's a mutual dream.
Before we bring it back, let's see. Anybody from the public want to weigh in on this? Just happy, smiling faces. Okay, let's bring it back.
I have one comment. Different any subject, right?
You can go first. Go ahead.
You know, I'd like to point out that a member of the public is appreciative of our new finance portal. So thank you, Mark. And that's the first time I've heard it mentioned in public. And I hope everyone takes note of this and starts using it. And
Did you
that's
want
great.
to save that for the end, or we're still trying to get a motion on this? Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And what do we want to do about future major permits? Do we want to accept them?
They all have to come to us, but I think the staff needs to advise major permit applicants that this particular council is not exactly high on major events.
And I'd say take a real hard look at staffing and see if we can do it, because I think it's a real stretch. And it's okay to say no.
Technically,
yeah.
I don't know that staff can say no to someone wanting to bring something to the council.
No, but I mean, at some point, we might want to make that policy direction here.
Well, we know how to say no.
More. I know. No more major applications. So it'll make your life easier. Then you don't have to. It's easy.
We've heard these discussions over the many years, and we tell folks that want to come in with applications that it's going to be a tough road to hoe for sure.
Do we need a motion on this?
I do need a motion.
The move to accept the list of events and to please bring the Mermaid Marathon back to us for review.
That one event needs special attention and consideration. Right? So, motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned. Capitola, have a happy Thanksgiving.